Greg is here with me and we are ready to go.
Sure. Well, thanks for joining us today. As I was just saying to Janelle, I think we've got 28 people registered for today's event, which is fantastic. I was just working out, today is the 9th event that we've hosted, Council on the Business Chamber. I've actually brought to you, presented by Resolve Business Coaching. So Glenn and Wade have been joining us every Wednesday to present this amazing content. And I hope that you've all been enjoying it and being able to actually look at the presentations afterwards as well. So today's presentation is all about SEO, and we've got a subject matter expert, Greg, with us, who Glenn will actually introduce you to later. But I won't waffle on any longer, just hand you over to Glenn, and we can't wait to hear all about how to maximise this particular function.
Alrighty, how is everyone doing? Can you see me there? I hope.
Yeah.
Yep, great. So I'm here with Greg, and today we're talking about search engine optimization and search engine marketing. We've also got Wade in here with us as well. Wade's in his other office there too. And today we're going to be going through the fundamentals of SEO and SEM. And I'm super excited to bring Greg on board for this session because Greg actually looks after the SEO and the SEM for my business, KEYWOR Guitars. And he's done an amazing job, and we've seen some amazing growth over the past, what's it been, like 12 months or so now?
Yeah, about 12 to 18 months.
About 12 to 18 months, Greg's been working with us in our retail business, and we've seen some amazing results. So I'm really excited to get him on board for this one. But Wade will also be here too to answer any questions and to just chime in with his digital marketing experience too. So let's jump into the webinar. Welcome everyone, really excited to be here, and big shout out to Megan at Kiama Council. Thanks Megan for having us again, and to the Kiama Business Chamber for making these events possible. All right, so let's jump in. Search engine marketing. You guys probably know who I am by now, but if you don't, director at KEYWOR Guitars, but also the founder of Resolve Business Coaching here in Kiama. Today I'm joined by Wade Stewart and Greg here as well. So today we're going to be talking about search engine optimization. We'll be talking about the importance of these 5 steps. Greg is really going to break down the detail with these steps. As a business owner, you guys probably already know that you have to wear a lot of hats these days as a business owner, and you actually have to know at least in the bare bones structure, a lot of different things as they relate to your business. SEO is something that I know the fundamentals of, but Greg is the expert, which is why we've got him in today. So I'll be talking about the kind of high level fundamentals of SEO, but Greg will be here to dive into the details about really how to do things and how it really works. So we're going to be talking about the importance of engaging content on your website with keywords, the importance of inbound links or backlinks to your website, the importance of having a website that's set up for mobile first, and site speed, and then we're going to go to a few other technical factors as we go in the webinar. Search engine marketing, as it relates to paid marketing on Google specifically. We're going to be talking about Google Ads, we'll be talking about Google Shopping and Google Merchant Center, and also Google retargeting as well. So there's 2 key parts of this webinar. One is the SEO, the organic traffic that the rankings that come up with Google there organically, but SEM, or search engine marketing, will be the paid traffic that we're working on. So we're going to be covering both in this webinar. So to start with, we're going to go with SEO. So why is SEO important? Well, because Google is the authority when it comes to SEO. If you're not on page 1, basically, when someone types something into search in your industry, or search for your product, or search for a brand that you sell or a service that you offer, if you're not on page 1, well, basically you don't exist, at least when it relates to Google, because I've got some stats here that the very first organic result on the first search engine results page sees about 32%, 32.5% of overall search traffic in terms of clicks. So that very first organic result on Google sees about 32.5% of all the search traffic there. And the second one sees 17.6%, while the 7th one only sees 3.5%. So some interesting statistics there on how important it is to be in that number 1 or number 2 spots on Google organically. Only about not even 1% of Google searches clicked on something from the second page. In a study that was done, you can see the sources where I found that info, but isn't that crazy? Not even 1% click through to the second page of Google. So that's why it's important. That's why I say, if you're not on page 1, you don't exist. Does that relate to what you're saying too?
Well, yeah, I mean, also that proves like going into the paid ads as well. You know, like a bidding on, you know, you can bid on the first page. You know, at the bottom of the page, right at the top of the page. So you know, it's definitely right in regards to organic traffic, and how that's backed up is the different prices when you're actually bidding on keywords. So for example, a keyword might cost 5 cents to be on any other page, but then to be on the bottom of the first page, it might go up to 20 cents, and then to be right up in position 1, it'll be, you know, it could be 60 cents.
Yeah.
So the value, you know, it's very, very much important for first page up the top. And then there's all different positions, but obviously we'll go into the detail later, but there's something called featured snippets, which now Google is giving a huge emphasis to right up the top of the page, on top of the ads, where they have, like, they basically give a full listing in regards to what you've searched for, and then be like a table included into the search result, bullet points. So that there is pretty much taking all of, like, nearly 90% of the traffic. Yeah. But it's all about SEO is all about fulfilling what users want and what they're searching for.
Yeah, exactly. So Google is going to rank these websites in terms of relevance, right?
Exactly.
And what people are searching for. What Greg's talking about there too is the SEM, so the paid per clicks, that we're going to talk about too in the webinar.
And that basically they interrelate. So like you might be doing something for organic search results, and then the paid results would kind of reassure you that what you've been doing is correct.
Yeah.
So yeah, they relate significantly.
Awesome, cool. So so we're going to go into a few of the steps here to effective SEO. We're going to talk about the fundamentals here. Greg can sort of break these down a little bit more for us. We're going to be talking about now engaging content with keywords. So we're really talking about, so for your website, what are the keywords that people are searching for in Google to find you, right? These are really the keywords that you want to have throughout your website so that Google notices these keywords, and therefore you climb up those organic rankings when people are searching for these keywords in Google. So there's an opportunity there to use keyword search tools as well, to really find out what keywords people are searching for your business and for your industry. So then you can figure out what keywords you need to have on your website to make sure you climb up those rankings organically. I put there just a couple of points on how we've talked about before FAQs and the importance of FAQs on your website, to which Google responds to as well. But also something like a blog, which can mention these keywords multiple times throughout the blog, and different articles and things on your website too, which can help with those rankings. So let's hear from Greg. Engaging content with keywords, how important is this one for Google?
So this is basically what makes a website. So without engaging content, or what I refer to as content that is engaging your user intent. So you know what your users are searching for. If this is not properly portrayed on the page and structured, there's basically no point to having a website. Ultimately, a website is your 24/7 shopfront, and engaging content matches what people are searching and how you're going to be found. And most importantly, so we need the content, but we need it optimized with how people are going to search, and that's keywords. So starting with the first point, identify the keywords in your audience is using in Google, there's a variety of tools which use keyword search tools that can be used, but also you can simply even just use Google itself. So you can do a search on Google, and underneath that search there'd be like recommended searches. So that in itself, Google is telling you straight away, as in its most simplest form, this is what people are looking for, because we've got these alternative searches. So you can have your keyword plus these alternatives within the content and cover multiple bases. In regards to content, so most importantly, yes, is to identify the keywords, but then you need to structure your content. So I'd recommend having about 1,000 words per page as a minimum, and then structuring all of that with titles and subtitles and incorporating the keywords into those titles. Then you've got different aspects like that are more like more technical, like meta descriptions and meta titles that you can get your web developer to incorporate.
So we'll go into the we'll go into the technical factors a little bit later, but in a nutshell, the keywords. Let's use Hayward guitars for an example. We don't want to give away too many hot secrets on Hayward guitars and stuff we're doing in terms of the exact keywords and things, but basically, when people look to buy a guitar online, they're going to be searching for, buy a guitar online, cheap guitar online. They might search for a specific brand. It might be Fender guitars. It might be Gibson guitars. So Greg makes sure that these keywords are prevalent on our website.
Yeah, and by also finding those keywords, I will mainly how I get access to that is analysing competitors and seeing what they're doing. So basically, just there are tools that I use to make my life easier, but even without those tools, because they can be very expensive to register for, I just break down their content and see what they're targeting in their URL domain name, then in their titles and throughout their content, and basically by also on these other points here, like by having a blog. So once you've got your main landing pages set up and you've got your competitor keywords and your own strategy set up, your blog, what it does is you don't want to compete with yourself on keywords. So you've got your main page, but your blog reinforces the keywords that you're targeting on your site, because you don't want traffic to come to your blog. You want traffic to go to your main dedicated landing pages. But the blog is always submitting new content to Google, which is telling Google that this website is active and it needs to keep re-indexing the pages, and it keeps boosting it up. FAQs is what's called in a technical sense a schema markup. So markups, schema markups. So markups are basically like a recipe that Google has, and if you fulfill that, it will incorporate those FAQs on your search results. So you'll have your page on someone's search result, and even if it's not up in position 1 or position 2, what can actually what's the word, like those stats that you've mentioned earlier, what can actually come back to bite them is really, if you've got good FAQs, the FAQs can take up 3 positions.
Wow.
Okay, so and someone can click read more, and basically it just bumps everything else down, and you own that whole section of the results. So that's why the importance of FAQs and answering people's questions on how they might be trying to find your product or about your product or service. It's really important.
Awesome. Some gold there. Really glad that you're on board with this, man. Just sharing some real gold there. So engaging content with keywords, as we talked about, importance of FAQs. So frequently asked questions. What are your customers asking you? Where can you include that on your website? Where can you include maybe a blog or some articles to have some of those keywords on your website? And as Greg said, using Google to help find out what are the keywords that people are searching for in your industry.
And other recommended keywords are, when you do a search, scroll all the way down to the bottom of the first page, and you'll have like alternative searches. Those are some topics that can help you out. But remember, most importantly, is do not have a blog if you're not going to contribute to it consistently. So if you set up a blog and then you do it weekly and then move to monthly and then 3 monthly, it'll work against you.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's like we talked about with a lot of the social media content. It's got to be consistent.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. Daily, every second day or whatever it is, or once a week, but it needs to be consistent.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So the next one we're going to talk about is inbound links or backlinks. So using other websites to link to your website. Right. This is where it's important if you have suppliers, like we do as a retailer, we have suppliers in our industry who have links on their website which go to our website. But also, partners, business, if they're partners or associates that you work with, using them and asking them, and if they're a supplier, they should definitely have you on there, but checking up on them, making sure you're on there, your website is on there where people can click through to your website. Things like YouTube, social media, LinkedIn, the more places that link back to your website, the better, and the more Google sees that as an authority in the industry.
Exactly right. Yeah. So what you just said there is the last part is really important. So the main reason for backlinks is to increase your what some people say domain authority and what others say domain reputability. Yeah. So basically it's just it's a trust factor. So what all of our websites have already backlinks without you knowing. Most of those are exactly how you receive spam email. They are spam bots that automatically are sending out all of these bots out there in the world that are tracking websites, and they've got backlinks to your website. Yeah. So again, going technical, there are ways that we need to stop those backlinks because they've got zero domain authority reputability and can actually negatively affect your website. Yeah. So that's technical. On the other hand, is that what positively affects your website and your rankings are traffic by social media and all the other marketing channels that are on there on the last point. So they bring traffic, but having articles like, for example, hey, with guitars, if you've got an article or
a press release or something,
or a press release or a backlink, even if, like, for example, Fender guitars, if they've got you as a supplier, instead of them just having your logo on their website, if they simply put a backlink, Google recognizes, wow, you've got a backlink from Fender, that's 10 extra points for you, and they've got more of a reason to boost you up. But ultimately, the way I explain this, always in very, very simple terms, is Google is, and this is basically the summary of everything I've got to say today.
Take note of this next point then.
So basically, the internet is referred to as the web, right? So these terms that I'm going to use now, so web, spider, crawling, these are terms that actually happens in nature. But these are what actually technical terms that happen on the web. So if you type in internet spiders, crawling, they are actual technical terms. Because it's the same concept. So we've got the web and we've got Google, and Google has spiders that literally crawl the internet. And when they land on your website, they crawl your website. Okay, and they then do what's called indexing. So they index the content on your website online, and that contributes, if it's good quality content and if it's got the keywords and everything else we're talking about now, you will get benefits from that, because Google, through crawling your website, will understand, okay, we need to rank these guys higher and boost them. And then if you've got backlinks and you're also providing links to other websites, you're contributing to building that web. So when you're contributing to building that web and making it bigger through quality authorized domains, that will then give your website domain authority and increase traffic naturally and your organic rankings.
So this is one of the most important steps. Exactly. Making sure your site has backlinks. So we touched on it as well with press releases, but we've done this before at Hayward Guitars. We'll do a press release, creating articles about cool things that are happening at KEYWOR, maybe a new release that's come out in the guitar world, typing up a press release and getting them to these different websites, which will publish that article for us and have backlinks throughout that article going back to our website, which really helps.
Yeah, and if you're providing a service, let's just say an example would be a plumbing business. So they might not have access to music magazines or instrument suppliers like what KEYWOR Guitars does. But even so, you can still try and get, like for example, your membership license to link to your website. Other resources, like think of like anything that you can get your name on. So if it's yellow pages, white pages, there's True Local, anything that links back to your website. Just throw your web links out there and get as many backlinks as you can. And don't be scared to link within your website to other resources. The best, for example, is if you can link to a Wikipedia article or to a news article. So you're also providing outbound links, and you're getting good inbound links, and you're contributing to the internet.
Right. Yeah. Really good. And also, as we talked about social media, I think YouTube, if you're making video content already for your business, get it on YouTube and make sure the description mentions where they can find more on that information by linking to your website too.
And on that note, the description is very important. So not just uploading a video, but being descriptive, targeting keywords even in that description. But most of all, YouTube is highly important because it's owned by Google.
Yeah.
So
I'll jump in there, boys, as well with the on YouTube is you want to upload a caption file too. So what a caption file does, it tells Google exactly what is said and what is actually inside the video. And rather than have to make the caption file yourself, like YouTube will do an automatic generation of it, which you can get in and edit. That takes time. But there's a website called rev.com. And what you're able to do then is upload your video, and within a couple of hours, and for like $1.25 per minute, they'll actually transcribe your video into text. And so firstly, you can create a subtitle file for that, which you can upload to YouTube and to Facebook. Get that text and have that start like a blog article too. It's actually a really fast and effective way to start creating content from something you might already be doing.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, thanks, Wade. That website was rev.com, rev.com. Yeah, that's a site that Wade's actually helped me to get on for my video content. I make it Resolve Business Coaching to get the captions for each video, which makes the videos more professional too on another subject. All right, great. Thanks, Wade. Let's jump on to the next one here. So mobile first. Let's talk about mobile first. The first iPhone was introduced in 2007, right? I looked up a couple of stats here, and now if you look at the stats, more than half of all Google searches are done on a mobile as opposed to a laptop or a PC, yeah?
Yeah.
So now the majority of people are actually using their mobile phone to search for websites and to browse the web. So if your website is not mobile friendly, it will not rank, basically.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you've been big on this one with us. Greg's, done an amazing job with us in boosting our traffic over the last 18 months, as we said. And this is one you're really hammering home with us about mobile.
Yeah. So mobile, it doesn't have to have a mobile app. It doesn't have to have a special developer that comes on board to make it mobile friendly. If you're using a CMS like WordPress, that will help you automatically be mobile friendly. But also, it's a topic that we're about to discuss with site speed. But mobile friendly, it just needs to be. It's good for Google, but it's most important also for the user. So a user will judge you by having a poorly compatible website, and especially if it's slow. So site speed, which we'll discuss later on, in this scenario is most important in regards to images. So the images are generally let's just say technically 700 pixels wide. But that pixel width will allow an image to fast load. And also if the image is compressed. So basically, I would suggest using whatever plugins you can get on your CMS. So for example, it could be a CMS called Joomla or WordPress, installing a mobile compatibility app, and that will kind of just run through and scan through your website and make it all compatible, enough for it to just be more better for the user experience who's using it on the front end. Google themselves have what's called AMP, which actually it's something mobile pages. But yeah, so that's a whole separate discussion.
Yeah. We're going to be talking about the site speed up next too.
Yeah.
And I think Shopify's actually got a plugin too that we can
Exactly.
run. For our website, which is built on Shopify, you can run this plugin, which will go through and shrink those images so that you get that site speed up. Just on this point too, on mobile first, I know Wade, you were showing me the other day a website where if the website doesn't, if you're looking at a website on a laptop, right, and you go to shrink that screen down and it doesn't follow the shape of your screen, then it's not mobile friendly, right?
So basically, I'm sure Wade's got an app with that, but even easier is simply you just right click on the page and click inspect.
Yeah.
And then up in the top right hand corner, there'll be two little devices. So it'll have your desktop device, you just hover over it and it'll say desktop, or mobile. If you click mobile, that'll show what your screen looks like on mobile. And a lot of the times, like you'll have a table on your page and the user will have to scroll left and right.
Yeah.
So you never want that scenario happening where a user needs to scroll left and right to see an image or a table. It just needs to be compressed and compatible with all mobile screens.
So how do you find that? You right click on the website?
Right click, inspect, and then you'll see a whole bunch of coding, but you just, I mean, you know what, even easier, you can just make your screen, you know how you've got minimize, maximize?
Yeah,
you can even just shrink your screen size down, and if it all fits in.
Yeah. That's what you were showing me the other day, Wade, on the website we saw was it mobile friendly.
Yeah, and just to clarify, that's using Google Chrome to right-click and inspect. If you're using Safari or Internet Explorer, it's not going to work. So using Google Chrome, you can emulate what the website will look like on a device. But yeah, the simplest and fastest way to look at it is to just drag the edge of the box and of your screen and move it around. And if it's called responsiveness. If the website adjusts and adapts to the screen size and it's referred to as responsive, if it's not and getting cut off, that's going to affect the user experience, which will affect how long they actually spend on your site.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, let's jump to the next one. Thanks, Wade. So now we are talking about site speed. So Greg already touched on this, but basically it's how fast your website is to load. So Google really likes websites it'll rank websites that load fast, which is why Greg talked about the importance of having those image sizes not too big so that each page doesn't take too long to load, because Google doesn't want to be ranking websites that people get frustrated with and that they're landing on and it takes forever to load. What are you doing to me, Google? This isn't a good one. So that's why it is important. And you mentioned there's plugins you can get where it can take the labor out of it, where you can just run a plugin and it'll shrink those images down, which we've done on our site before. Or just especially be mindful when you're uploading images to make sure they're shrunk down to the right size. And what would you say is the size to go for?
So industry standard is usually height or width no more than 700 pixels.
Yeah.
But then these plugins actually decompress the file, so they compress the file to be smaller in size. So
in terms of like kilobytes, like
exactly, yeah. So they can usually make them smaller by about 200 KB.
So how big, like, is there a range of kilobytes you go for when it comes to uploading an image?
I mean, it's the general rule of thumb is to try and keep images under 100 KB.
Yeah.
But sometimes that can be hard.
because you want to keep good quality images.
Exactly. Yeah, you never want, you don't want to jeopardize having like, you know, a pixel image like that's looking all blurry.
Yeah.
So basically, but general rule of thumb, you can maintain that around the 100 KB mark.
Yeah.
I've also got, you know, like I was saying earlier, tools that I use that scan through a website and pick up all of these things. So images that are above 100 KB are what actually gets flagged to me.
Yeah.
So that's why that is a good practice to have them under that.
Yeah.
But another easy solution is actually, many people, you know, if they don't need a page or an image or whatever, they'll just delete that from the page on their CMS, but they won't actually go in the back end and delete it.
Yeah.
So your website is technically still loading all of that.
Right.
So basically, you've got like plugins that are, obviously the less plugins you have, the better.
Yeah.
But you can download a plugin, like install a plugin, and then remove it when you don't need it.
Yeah.
But there's something called on WordPress Media Cleaner.
Yeah.
So that'll go through and find, it can get a bit technical, because anyway, but basically it's a program that goes through, and general rule of thumb is it'll find all of the images that are not associated to any pages.
Cool.
And delete them.
So that's why it's as Greg's saying, look, if your website is built on WordPress or if it's on Shopify, or finding out what platform it's on and looking for those plugins that can make this process easier to shrink those images down or to highlight ones that aren't necessary.
Yeah, and just another note on that, the importance of site speed is that when Google is crawling through pages to index them, they will record how long it's taken for the spider to crawl the page. So the larger the image, the longer it takes for the spider to crawl through the image.
Yeah.
Okay, so and images are actually crawled because images are I forget the name of it, but they're used on like people that are blind. They can't see the images, so there's programs out there. Yeah, like there's programs out there that actually read the images.
Okay.
To blind people.
Yeah.
So images are actually crawled themselves.
Yeah.
And so that's why the size of the image matters, and the page speed is actually a ranking factor.
Yeah.
So it's really important for organic search results.
Awesome. All right. So another important step, the site speed. Let's talk about the technical factors now. We probably won't go too deep into the weeds here because
this is what I love the most.
This is Greg's bread and butter. But a couple of things here: the page URL, so the domains of each page. So up in the domain URL address bar on your browser there. So it's important to have the right information in that domain name which relates to the page. Yeah, and not just a jumbled bunch of numbers and random letters in there, because Google actually uses that information from the address bar for their search rankings.
It's got to be consistent. So basically, you've got the page URL. So let's just say, Hayworth Guitars. You sell guitars, okay, but you also sell drums and other musical instruments. So that domain name doesn't necessarily reflect everything else, and that doesn't matter. But what's important is that everything else is somewhere along the lines within a part of your domain. So, for example, on your drums page, you've got drums. On your music school page, you've got hayworthguitars.com.au/music school. So somewhere in your website, there's pages that actually reflect what your service or product is. Because there are some websites out there, like what you said, they've got a whole bunch of numbers, or they've got an irrelevant URL which doesn't flow onto the page. So basically, having a page URL that's relevant, but definitely not too long. It needs to be kept at a minimum of 2 to 3 words. H1 and H2 titles that reflect the keywords that you want to target. Then I'm just being very generic here. So there's lots of limitations and everything that needs to be looked at with all of this. But just touching briefly upon everything, So the H1 and the H2 titles are actually the H1, you've only got one H1, so that's the main title of the page.
So when the page comes up and you start scrolling down, the first title is what we're talking about as a H1 title.
And it should be the first thing you see. So not having an image and then a H1 title. It should be a H1 title, because when you're reading a newspaper article, you've generally got the title, then the image, and then the content.
Yeah.
And then that would be followed by multiple H2s, and you can have H2 with a H3 and then back to a H2. But important is there's one H1.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when you're talking about H2s, H3, so it's really the headings
for the
page.
You've got your main heading, then you've got your subheading, then you've got subheading.
Yeah.
And that the importance of those keywords is that you're actually telling Google your keywords, because nowadays, so another point in there is the meta tags. So there used to be 3 meta tags that were really important. There was the title tag, there was the description tag. So that last point should actually be 2 points. So you've got the meta title and the meta description. But there used to be what's called meta keywords. That was phased out about 2 years ago. Meta keywords now are actually why content is so important, because we can't tell Google anymore what our keywords are. But off the record, we do. And that's in our URL, in our H1 title, where we have our most important keyword, and then the H2s and H3s with our secondary keywords.
Right. So, for example, someone lands on our music school page, right? So, when it comes to your H1 title, so that first heading that they see needs to be something along the lines of our keywords.
So, the first heading's got to have your primary keyword in it.
Yeah.
And the URL should have your primary keyword in it.
Yeah.
But we need to remember that Google is a user that you're writing for, just like you're writing for your users. So it all needs to make sense. We don't keyword stuff and make it all gibberish. It's got to make sense.
That's right, yeah. And when we talk about the primary keyword, it might not necessarily be music school. It's what people are searching for music lessons.
Exactly.
So it might be something like
music lessons near me.
Music lessons near me could be our primary keyword that needs to be in the URL and in that H1 title.
So in a scenario like that, to make it make sense, I would write like, because the near me is a factor a search factor that just is through the roof. Like everyone always searches something near me. So music lessons near me, and then I would put like dash Hey with Guitars.
Yeah.
Or Hey with Guitars music school. So you know, it's just to make it make sense for the user that's reading it, but also you're targeting that keyword, and you know, the search volume that you can get by having the right keywords can be thousands compared to 10.
Yeah, awesome. So some more detailed things there, such as the domain names or the URLs in the address bar there. H1, H2, H3 title. So the headings that you're using on your page are very, very important, especially that first heading.
And the image alt text is similar to what Wade mentioned before about having a caption. So the image alt text, you can write the alt, and then you can write an image caption as well. Most important is the alt, which is basically what an alt text is right now. Let's break up those 3 words. You've got image alternative text. So when the image cannot be seen by someone who's visually impaired, you've got alternative text that explains the image.
Right.
If you don't put alternative text, that image will never come up in Google Images.
Yeah.
And it's a benefit. Like sometimes you can have all of your products at Hey with Guitars. We've set their image alt text to be automatic. So basically, you've got like you'll have the brand name, Fender, for example, and then you'll have the model and the model number and maybe I think it's the date or something, the release date or something.
Yeah.
So if someone is on you know Google and they're typing in like Fender model blah blah blah, you'll get like some Google ads, and then you'll have like the top ranking, like organic ranking. But then you also have, sometimes you'll see Google Images there. And it's good if you've got the top organic ranking with written content and the first Google image.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So that's
sorry. And another benefit of that is that if someone out there in the world is writing an article about that fender, by law, they've got to actually, if they use your image, they've got to actually put the link of that image.
Yeah.
So therefore, you can also score backlinks through your images.
Awesome. When we talk about the alt text too, that's really when you get into the back end of your website. Whenever you have an image that you're uploading, there definitely is on Shopify, there should be on all these major platforms, a section where you can add that alt text in. So what Greg's talking about when it comes to adding that alt text in, making sure you're putting in what relates to that image. So that it makes
and
really important.
And you can put a caption like what Wade mentioned earlier. Google does like captions, so that's definitely not going to hurt. But in regards to images, I personally would put alt and captions. But if you don't put captions, because you might have hundreds of images like products, and it'll just look weird because the caption is the writing that comes under the image.
Right.
So you don't have to put that, but when you can put that.
Try to put the caption
in regards to images, videos.
There's too many things to do, Greg.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, cool. So that's the technical fact. So that really covers a lot of the key points of SEO. So we'll do a bit of a summary on those at the end of the webinar. But for right now, let's dive into a couple of the key things that you do with SEM, so search engine marketing. There's a few less there's a few less points here than SEO, because I just wanted to keep this fairly big picture when it comes to the search engine marketing side of things. But where this is important is it can help with your traffic going to your website. Actually doing some paid ads on Google can help with your traffic while you're working on the SEO, right? You might have a new website which doesn't have all these backlinks set up. It doesn't have a lot of the keyword content in there yet, but you can be actually doing some paid ads which can help to generate that traffic while you're working on the SEO. It's what we did at KEYWOR Guitars when we first launched that new website. Was it like 18 months ago? We weren't ranking very well because it still needed a lot of work. So while we continued to work on the SEO, we were able to do some SEM, so some actual paid ads to get that traffic going straight away. It's like you fast.
So basically, there's with everything with online marketing, there's multiple channels to bring in traffic. So you've got social media, YouTube, and one of those channels is Google Ads. So organic SEO, one of the biggest factors, like everything we've discussed now, like content and site speed and all of that, backlinks, they're all contributing factors to ranking organically. But without traffic, you can't rank organically. You need traffic. So ultimately, those who already have traffic, it might be a historic website with already users coming to it. That's good. Google Ads can be more specific in bringing customers on their search intent to your website. New websites will definitely need traffic, and that's why Google Ads is there to bring that traffic in based on search intent. So you're bringing in sales and traffic. So it's it will assist in the organic rankings as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Like this step for us has been game changer, right?
But just seeing that second point is something I haven't mentioned actually. So SEO can take 6 to 12 months to generate. So it can take a long time. With websites that have a good amount of traffic, I've had results within 6 weeks. But that's from
SEO.
Pardon?
From SEO.
From SEO. I've seen like organic rankings jump in 6 weeks, but that's lots of traffic and lots of all the boxes are ticked, and that happens. But sometimes it can take. I would say 6 months is usually the ballpark figure with me. So going back to your question, it worked with us incredibly.
Search engine marketing worked really well for us to get traffic immediately. It can also be a waste of money if it can be a bottomless pit, right? I've fallen into the trap in the early days of our old website of outsourcing this to, look, there's a lot of sharks out there. You have to be careful. I've outsourced to the wrong place before. It locked me into a contract. I couldn't get out of it. They wouldn't show me the numbers, where the money was going. and basically I got screwed. So
I think SEO and Google Ads, with all of the spam that we receive in our emails, with all of the agencies out there that have amalgamated SEO with web design, and it's a very untrustworthy industry.
Yeah.
And when I tell people, if someone says, "Oh, what do you do?" "Oh, I work in SEO," and they just look at me like I'm a con. But it is very it's hard, and it's hard to implement. But once you do it and you do it correctly, the sky is absolutely the limit. Like it's all yours, and so that's why a proper strategy with Google Ads that goes hand in hand with your organic strategy. So basically, if you're targeting keywords organically, you need to be targeting those keywords on paid search, and you really got to get the research done. So it's all about the traditional marketing principles. So back in the day, before there was a computer, you would complete, like a SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats.
Yeah.
Analyze your market, analyze the competitors, write down the strengths and weaknesses, the opportunities and threats. Some keywords are really hard to rank for, some are really easy, and some easy ones might bring so much more ad traffic and organic traffic than hard ranking keywords. So you've just got to research well, and your ad, like you said, your ad spend can be a bottomless pit as well.
Yeah.
You can keep investing into it and keep getting clicks but no sales. But with proper research,
that's why we encourage you. That's why we encourage you with this one in particular. Do your own research, and make sure if you do decide to go down this path, you find someone who's reputable, trustworthy. And I'm glad we found you, man. Because I've been, as I said, I've made some big mistakes in this area before in the past, and you've just been a knight in shining armor, helping us, man.
I'll jump in there as well, guys. It's also one part of like the bigger picture too. So just keeping in mind with your budgets and ad spend and that too, because potentially you'll have a Facebook ad spend and Facebook managers and that on it as part of your system. So it all ties in together. But what you really need to consider is, what is your actual customer journey? What's their starting point with doing business with you? Is it hearing or finding out about you on Facebook and then going through, or is it like something a little bit more direct where they would start with a Google search and then maybe be, remarketed to on Facebook? So I think that you need to sort of consider like the holistic picture when it comes into actually like setting a budget for everything, and that it all plays its part.
Yeah, good point, Wade. Good point. This is just one part in the marketing wheel, really.
Yeah.
So let's get into when we're talking about Google Ads. Just so we've got a clear image of what we're talking about here. So the organic SEO is down the bottom here. We say I typed in furniture online, look what came up. freedom.com.au is the first ranking organic one there. So as we talked about with the SEO, these are the Google ads that we're talking about here, these ones that come up first. You can see that they're an ad, and they're coming up first there. But also we're going to talk a little bit about Google Shopping. If you're in the product-based industry, or if you're a retailer, Google Shopping, and we're going to talk about a little bit about that next as well. So the foundation, let's talk first of all about Google Ads. So what we showed there, where they rank straight away, they're right under the search bar there, and they rank above the organic traffic. They're often like, pay-per-click sort of model.
Yep. And
they can be competitive, like it's getting quite competitive these days for Google Ads in terms of how much you pay per click.
Yeah.
If you're in an industry which there's a lot of people fighting over those keywords.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Google Ads for a second, and how much you use Google Ads and what you do compared to like the other, Google Shopping, Google Retargeting.
Yeah. So basically, we'll go into the shopping and retargeting later on, but so just to clarify that to set up the shopping and to set up the retargeting, that is all done within Google Ads as well.
Yeah.
And basically, it's a matter of your goals, and those goals then become your goals with ads. What I mean by that is that you can set up different ad strategies. You can have multiple ad strategies. Like what Wade said, it depends on how you want to allocate your budget. So it's all about, I recommend doing a couple of things and seeing what works for you. So for example, I'd always recommend doing social media. If you've got a target market that are using social media is definitely important. Yeah. But then the same thing also with Google Ads. There's different ways of approaching it. So you can do a pay per click approach. You can do a pay per conversion approach. There's all different aspects like of demographics. So
pay per conversion is where you track them right through to the checkout process and see who actually converts as a customer.
So with that, you can set it up like you do need to have an expert involved that sets this up properly. They also need to set it up on your website. Yeah. And when that conversion happens, so the user goes all the way through and actually buys, that's when then Google tracks that and you pay on that. Yeah. So that's a more expensive click, let's just say, because you've actually got a conversion out of it. Yeah. I always start off with a generic strategy, and that generic strategy would be maximizing my clicks. So I just want as many people to click on my ad as possible. Yeah. And then once I'd have that set up for about a month, and I would say, okay, I analyze it and I can say, okay, look, it's only females that are clicking. I look at all the demographics, or it's only males. It's mainly this age group. It's mainly this location. So then you can narrow your strategy down to those demographics. Yeah. And then you can also have multiple ad campaigns running at the same time. Yeah. So you can have a maximizing clicks strategy running, or you can have a sales only. What is it that you want from Google Ads? So it can be people calling you, people buying off you, people clicking on your website. Yeah. And all of these will then contribute to when you'll see, like, these will be goals when you're setting up the ad. Yeah. So you got to have your goals in mind, what you want out of the ad, and then set it up accordingly.
And the reason that you chunk it down to, like you said, you find out who your demographic is who's clicking on these links, these ads, is because you get a better return on investment when you target that demographic. Instead of putting out an ad, and we talked about this with Facebook ads and Play too, instead of putting out an ad to everyone and seeing who buys it, that can be very expensive because you might have people click on it who aren't really interested and it costs you money. But if you can target that demographic that you're really going after, we talked about this, who's your target market, right? Setting up your avatars so you know who you're going after. You be specific on that, then you get a much better return on investment.
That's 100% right, 100% right. But one big but. So basically, Google, when setting up an ad, I would say you need to kind of go very generic in the beginning. Yeah. Because what happens is that it will give you all of the data back on your keywords and on your campaign itself. So basically then you will, it's what's called the learning period. So that's a minimum of 2 weeks learning period. Yeah. Once you've gone past that learning period, you can then look at getting a higher return, what you're saying now, on the ad spend. Right. So what would happen is that instead of spending like a blanket amount, you can, you might hit your $50 budget in 2 hours. Yeah. You can then narrow that down after the learning period. Yeah. And the learning period this is getting very technical, but it's what's called nowadays as artificial intelligence. Yeah. So Google has kind of like robots that see what your users are searching. Yeah. Right. So after that learning period, if you get in contact with a Google account manager, they can then see, okay, you know, from this period of time, we can see this is the user behavior and the search. And now you can really narrow it down. So in the beginning, don't narrow with Google Ads.
Good advice.
And then
see, I probably, if I was running this campaign, I'd be wasting tons of money because that's why I got the expert in, because I would.
Do you remember this was literally in our scenario? Right? In the beginning, I'd be like, okay, Glenn, what's your budget? And you'd be like, oh man, I don't know. And I said, look, let's start off low. And I was like, oh, but you know, I've got to pause and let it run and pause and, you know, like to make it last out. And then it kind of seems like the ads are not working much for you in the beginning. But then after 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you really start to see the results.
And if you had told me how much I'm spending on Google Ads at the moment in the early days, as I'm spending it now, I would have said get out, because it's crazy. But it's not about how much you spend; it's about the return on investment. Well, it's like, you know, some people might say, you know, what's your budget for what's your marketing budget? Well, there doesn't have to be a budget if you're getting a return. It's like, you know,
in the beginning, Google Ads can somewhat seem just an expense, right? Or you might be selling just enough to make a balance between expense and sales and profits. But now, especially now you've had your ads running for over 12 months, we're at the point where it's what's called return on ad spend. Okay, so I can now, which is what's worked for us, is I can go in now and say, okay, I'm, after looking at our past, you know, 10 months of solid advertising on Google, I can see our general cost and value. So what we're earning and what we're spending, I can see that dollar factor, right? So basically that works on if you're getting $1 back on every $1 you're spending, that means that you're making a return of 100%, right? But we don't want that, right? So after the learning period, what I'm talking about now is finished, the pleasure about Google Ads is that you can then go in and say, right, I've got my market nailed. I know who I'm targeting. I've got the demographics. I've got all of this done. My research and my strategy is properly set. Now I'm telling you, Google, for every dollar I spent, I want $5 back. And you can literally tell them that. And what happens is, with that artificial intelligence that's gathered, your ad will only appear to people who are directly in your searching behavior. So you will have less of an ad spend with a higher return. Sometimes people are spending $3 and they're getting $2 back. But after a while, you just go in and say, okay, now specifically for every dollar I spend, I get $5 back. And that's it.
That's where you want to be. All right, let's jump, just because I know we've got a couple more points and I know we're probably running short on time. Let's jump on the next one. Let's talk about Google Shopping, right? So for this doesn't apply to everyone, but this is very big if you're selling products on the web. If you're selling products on your website using Google Shopping, it's easy for consumers to compare price on Google Shopping because someone can search for a product and Google can have the products there with the prices they're selling it for, so it's very easy to click through. And I put there as a key point that price matters. So your price needs to be competitive. You're going to be doing Google Shopping. You have to have a competitive price. Otherwise, you'll be paying for these ads, and your price isn't competitive anyway. So there's no point, right?
So with Google Shopping, in a nutshell, it does. It can get a bit complicated. Like you can have shopping ads with stars on them, review stars, without stars. So you might be wondering why your competitors have it and you don't.
And that means that, sorry to jump in, but if your website has a process where people can review the product on your website, and that'll show up on Google Shopping.
Exactly. So if you have over 50 reviews, Google will then allow the reviews, the stars, to come on your products. But what's important with Google Shopping is that your website is up to date. Your stock levels are up to date and your prices are all up to date, because that is automatically generated then on the Google Shopping ads. So Google Shopping is ran through ads. You can run what's called, to make it very easier for you, you can run it through, you can set it up through the setup wizard. And that will basically set up a smart shopping campaign, which does everything that you really do need to do. And yeah, so the most important thing with Google Shopping is you can manually do it, which I advise against, but it's submitting a shopping feed. So basically every month you submit your products to Google that you want them to advertise. Just keep in mind that the more products that you're getting advertised, the sooner your advertising budget will end. So for example, if you're advertising 30 products, that means that your budget is within a range of 30 products. If you're advertising 1,000 products, that means that that $30 budget you've got will end in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Because it's, you know, it's 1,000 times, you know, whatever, more likely to get clicked.
So you really want to pick your most popular products that you want to focus on, yeah?
Pick the most popular products, and also there are plugins that really do help so that you don't have to manually upload your feed. Your example, using Shopify, there's a Google Shopping plugin on Shopify, and you literally, it's really easy. You just go in and you can select the categories, the products. You can filter by however you want, and Google will automatically every day refresh your ads according to the data on your website.
Yeah, awesome. This one coupled with Google Ads.
That was Google speaking to me.
Google's listening to this conversation. Greg's Google, hey Google just went off.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So that's Google Shopping. The third one really we're going to talk about with the search engine marketing is Google retargeting. This is where I put there to go after the ones that got away, right? To go after the ones that landed on your website and doing retargeting ads for them, for users as they continue to browse the web.
Yeah. So retargeting, you can set retargeting up as something separate. Because I'm quite practical with all of this. With Glenn, I initially set everything up separately so that I could track and clearly report everything that was working, because the ad spend was quite big and I needed to really, everything I do is quantitative and results based. So I needed to really make sure that I could tell Glenn, hey, you know, this is what's happening. So I'm not deemed as one of these SEO sharks.
Yeah.
But basically, the easiest way I would advise you to do this is literally, if you set up a shopping campaign, set up the smart shopping campaign, and that automatically sets up your retargeting campaign. It's all in it. Okay. So, and retargeting basically, it just means that your smart shopping ad that someone clicks through to your website on, they've seen your website and they've left your website. When they're browsing through the internet about a similar topic, or it might not even be, actually no, it's not a similar topic. Like for example, regularly your ads come up, Glenn's ads come up on the Sydney Morning Herald. So for example, there's websites out there, like the Sydney Morning Herald, that earn a profit from Google. And they earn a profit by allowing Google advertising to happen on their websites.
Right, yeah.
So it's what's called cookies and tracking cookies. So I've been on Facebook or even, you know, on Google, and I've clicked an ad, I've done a search, and I've landed on a certain website. That website will have tracking cookies, which Google implements, and those tracking cookies will then display on every website that is using Google advertising to make a profit. So the Sydney Morning Herald, they would have Google down the bottom because they have thousands and thousands of users a day. So imagine how many users who have left Glenn's website or any other website are reading the newspaper and bang, Hayworth Guitars. Oh wow, Hayworth must be reputable because they're advertising in the Sydney Morning Herald. Yeah, all right, I'll buy that guitar that I seen this morning. And I'll click that, go through, and the Sydney Morning Herald would make a profit on that too.
Right. Right, there you go. So this is where, you know, we talk about retargeting. We talked about it with Facebook retargeting too, where you do it on Facebook too, where, you know, so many people can land on your website and leave and never be seen again, right? Yeah. And it sort of can keep people up at night knowing how many people come to your website and left and never bought anything. But this can be a way of getting them back, right? Exactly. By showing them more, you know, if it's product or offers or whatever around the web to entice them back to your website.
Yeah. Yeah, just quickly on that, it's there's all varying studies and stuff, but I've heard as many as 21 touch points somebody has to have with your brand before they'll actually engage you. So that means they have to come in contact with you 21 times. So if you're remarketing to them, so basically following them around the internet, whether they're on Instagram, Facebook, or other websites, those all count as touch points. Yeah. But yeah, as I said, there's varying studies, and it will also depend on how ready they are to buy, but that's kind of like an average.
Yeah, that's amazing to think about, isn't it? To think someone needs to see your brand 21 times before they actually buy something. Yeah. It's important to, as we talked about earlier too, to not just have one marketing strategy, right? Yeah. It's important to have a different one so that people might see, in our example, a sticker on a car, right? Or talk to someone about it, or see an ad somewhere, you know? Yeah. So there's all these different touch points.
With Google Ads, when I was saying before, set up different strategies. So what I do at the moment, even with KEYWOR, is I've got worded strategies. So for example, worded and branded strategies. So basically, you need to remember that some of these keywords are very expensive. It depends what industry you're in. Some of the keywords are actually really, really cheap. So it really depends on your industry and your market. But remember something, how you're considering all of this, SEO and SEM, others are considering it too. Others are probably already doing it. And if you've got a good business right now, and because I don't really know who I'm talking to right now, so I don't know any of the cases. But if you've got a good business and a good setup, and people are using you as the ideal competitor when they're doing their own strategies, well, if they're already one step ahead and they're onto their Google Ads, your brand will be their keyword. So when someone is searching for your brand, okay, their ad will come first, not your brand, because your brand is their keyword. So right now, multiple strategies. What I do, for example, I'll have 3/4 of my advertising budget going into the shopping campaign and the retargeting, and I'll leave 1/4 for my own brand. So in this scenario, I will pay for my own Hayworth Guitars advertising. Like I'll pay for my own brand name. Even if someone searches for Hayworth Guitars will come up in #1 spot organically. Yeah. But I don't want my competitors to come up for my own brand name. So I will make sure that I'm bidding the highest, even on my own brand, to be sure that I own the ad and the organic.
That's it. That's why I love this guy. But it's funny when you see when I've searched brands before and seen that they have an ad above their organic ranking, and you think, what's the point, right? They're already first organic, but it's so their competitors don't get that spot. Yeah. So a really good point you make there. Okay, so look, let's sum up. Let's go back. I know we talked a lot of detail today. But there's been some absolute gems in here. Let's talk about the SEO side of things. When we first started, we were talking about search engine optimization, so the organic rankings that your website gets, the importance of engaging content with keywords, the importance of backlinks, so reaching out to those partners or suppliers, the associates that you have in your industry, and make sure they have your website directly linking back to your site, but also, you know, YouTube, press releases around the web as well. You're using social media, you know, your website is in the descriptions there, so it links back to your site. Mobile first, the importance of making sure your website is mobile friendly. Site speed, we talked about making sure the images shrunk down. There's ways to do that on different web platforms where you can have plugins which can go through your whole website and shrink those images automatically, or just making sure when you upload them, you keep roughly under 100 kilobytes, as you said. Yep. Technical factors, we talked about a few technical things there, H1, H2 titles, the meta tags, alt text, that sort of thing there too. When we talk about SEM, we covered Google Ads. We covered Google Shopping, so particularly for what we do in retail and products, but we also talked about Google retargeting and actually following our leads around the web and giving them those extra touch points to come back to our site. So look, which one is right for you? Well, we work on both, right? We work on our SEO and our SEM. Which one are you going to focus on? We talked about how SEO is really like a long-term strategy and can take a longer time. SEM, like the marketing, the paid ads can work to get instant traffic to your site while you're working on the SEO. So ideally, like a lot of brands do both, and it works well. We do both. SEO is obviously super duper important, but if you want that traffic coming through fast as well, then SEM is good as long as you're getting that return and you're using someone who's trusted. So the big thing from today is really, I think, as I try to end a lot of these webinars, is take some sort of action. We've got some information here. We can do, I think, a quick Q&A depending on the time. Geez, this has been an in-depth one. We've gone over an hour today. So there's some information there. There's Greg's email there, info@goannadesigns.com.au is Greg's email if you want to get in touch with him. Any questions, you can also send them to me, glenn@resolvecoaching.com.au. There's our Facebook page, Instagram, and our website there as well. So send through any questions that you've got. We'd love to hear your feedback. I'm not sure if there's any questions out there that you want us to answer there, Megan. If you've got anything there for us, I'll throw it back to you.
Yeah, look, Sue's got a question, and she's asked what the best way or the best site to use to do an overall site audit, to look at the site speed and image sizes, etc.
So okay, so it's been a while since I've used sites to actually do this, because the tools that I actually use, and they are very in-depth tools, but the one tool that I would use is Ahrefs.
So
Ahrefs, but that's like $110 a month. So it's not really worth it if you've got the one website, and it's I guess
so there's some free
a free tool that I would use to do a site audit would be a very good SEO guru. He's very good for beginners and all the way through to advanced SEO experts. Is Neil Patel. So Neil and then Patel. Through his resources, you can learn a lot about SEO. He is a marketer, so he's really trying to sell you his things and does a lot of this stuff for his own benefit. But he does have a very, very good site audit that will go through and pick up on everything that's lacking on your website. But what I really like, other things as well that I just want to really clarify is that SEO and SEM can be daunting and intimidating, and you just may not know where to start. Everything we've said here today is a very, very good starting point, and Google actually changes their rules and strategies and everything, their processes every 6 months. So I'm always learning, and basically content. If you basically just do something solid, like with your content on your website, it's not a waste of time, and it will help. And by doing a site audit and tackling a lot of those problems and having good content that ranks well on your website is my #1 suggestion. Like, get the content and have it unique. Don't plagiarize from anywhere. Don't repeat the content on your website. Like, don't duplicate yourself on one page to another. Have good, unique content, and that's the first and foremost strongest stepping stone you can do.
Yeah, really good advice.
Thank you.
No worries,
No worries.
Sue. Any more questions there, Megan?
No, I think that was the last of the questions, but that was just amazing. And there was so much information and content there. And doesn't that resonate with the workshop that we had last Wednesday about defining your target market and knowing your client? It's just so important for all of the other activities you do in your business. It's just critical. So yeah, it just really resonated.
Yeah, awesome. Look, Greg, as I said, Greg's information's there if you want to reach out to him about his services. If you know, just take action from today and take one step forward to, if it's just conducting some more research, if it's doing a site audit, if it's sending an email, you know, I'd encourage everyone to just take some action from today. And Wade, thanks very much for being involved. Wade Stewart, thanks very much to Greg for being here.
Thank you.
Did an awesome job, mate.
Cheers.
And thanks for everything that you do for Hayward Guitars too, man.
Oh,
and thanks to Megan and Kiama Council and Kiama Business Chamber for having us on board. We've got one more coming up next week too, Megan.
Yeah, we've got next Wednesday, we've got creating freedom through systems. So this will be a do not miss, and how to make your life a lot easier and simpler by streamlining your activities. So that'll be an exciting workshop. And again, Monday, we've got another webinar on financial resilience, focusing this time on tax tip time. So yeah, it's an important time of the month to get yourself organised for end of financial year. So thanks again to you, Glenn, Greg and Wade. What an excellent session this has been. And again, the recording will be available on Council's YouTube page and also through Resolve Business Coaching's page as well.
That's it.
So
Yeah.
it's fantastic.
Thanks, Megan. So you can jump on resolvecoaching.com.au to check out our stuff as well. But next Wednesday, systems are the key to taking you out of the day-to-day in your business and giving you some new perspectives, some time, freedom, and everything else so that you can work on the business rather than in it. So that's going to be a massive one next Wednesday. I really highly encourage everyone to jump on that when Megan sends the link around to register for that one. It's going to be a game changer.
Yes. All right. That's it from me. And thanks again, guys. And we look forward to seeing you next Wednesday.
Thank you very much, Megan. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.